Hey there. Thanks for checking out Alloy Embedded. In this demo, we'll give you a quick overview of our platform, covering everything from how to stream business-critical data between apps to the most popular features that software vendors are using to customize the end-user experience. Our hope is that by the end of this, you'll have a stronger sense for how you can use Alloy to accelerate integration development and solve more problems for your customers. Let's get started. Once you're logged into Alloy Embedded, navigate over to the Integrations tab and click New Integration. This will prompt you to select which connector you want to build onto, subject to the integrations that are enabled in your account. For today's purposes, let's say you're building an integration with the hugely popular BigCommerce platform. BigCommerce is an e-com platform similar to Shopify, Magento, or WooCommerce. For the purposes of this video, we want our app to be able to talk to BigCommerce and send order data to BigCommerce via Alloy Embedded. Once you've selected it, you'll be directed to a dashboard that shows every workflow your integration contains. At this point, you might be asking, what's a workflow? A workflow is the building block of an integration. For example, you might have a workflow that runs every time an order is placed in a customer's BigCommerce store and want to route that data to your Snowflake data warehouse. This action is known as a workflow. Each workflow executes a specific action, and together they form an integration. So to start, let's click New Workflow. You'll notice a list of events in the toolbar on your left. In Alloy Embedded, events are the triggers that invoke specific workflows. Remember, we want to pull incoming order data from BigCommerce. So in other words, every time an order is placed in BigCommerce, we'll use Alloy Embedded to route that data to our Snowflake data warehouse. First things first, Alloy will ask you to authenticate BigCommerce. Keep in mind that we're just doing this to generate some sample data. Ultimately, it's your customer that'll need to authenticate within the embedded modal, at which point we'll use their credentials to register the appropriate webhook. We'll choose ours here and move on to step 2, selecting the event topic. The topic tells Embedded when to invoke a workflow. Many connectors support multiple different topics. For example, you can invoke a workflow whenever an order is placed in BigCommerce. Similarly, you can invoke a workflow whenever a new customer is created in BigCommerce. Which topic you choose decides what data is sent to your destination. More on this in a bit. We'll select the Order Created topic and click Next. From here, you can quickly familiarize yourself with the sample data structure, either in a JSON format or a simplified view. Click Done. Now that your event is properly configured, it's time to set up the destination for your workflow. Alloy Embedded supports dozens of destination blocks. Common examples of destinations include data warehouses like Snowflake and BigQuery, databases like MongoDB, MySQL, and Postgres, storage systems like Amazon S3, and ingestion tools like Amazon EventBridge or even your own API server's webhook ingest. We've already established that we want to stream data from a customer's BigCommerce store back to Snowflake, so let's select that as our destination block. The first thing to note here is the option to select Hide this block from users, which we didn't toggle when configuring our BigCommerce trigger. That's because we don't want to obfuscate this step from users. We need their credentials and data to make this workflow go. However, the destination block isn't a customer or merchant Snowflake account, it's ours as their ISV. So in this case, we'll select this option. Because we're syncing a new order, let's select Insert Data as the destination block action. If we were updating an existing record or taking some other action, we'd obviously need to select the most appropriate option available. From here, enter the credentials that you're being prompted to enter. This time, we'll use credentials you input here to stream the BigCommerce data to the Snowflake warehouse that you've specified. Similarly, you may want to stream a customer's new BigCommerce order data back to your own API's webhook ingest, or even use a proxy service like Amazon EventBridge or Google PubSub. In this scenario, rather than selecting a destination block once you've configured your event, navigate over to Settings, represented by the gear at the top right. Within the Stream Execution Data section, just select the appropriate trigger and enter your URL. Once you've done that, you can close the menu and name and release your workflow. Alternatively, you can use our custom API block to achieve the same result. Or, if you're looking to use EventBridge or PubSub, Just select those blocks. Now that we've walked through how you can use Alloy to send data from apps within your customer's tech stack to your preferred destination, let's look at how to establish a bi-directional sync by adding a new workflow that pulls data from your app. Within the same integration, let's again click New Workflow. This time, rather than selecting one of the supported apps on the left as your trigger, we're going to select Custom Event. This will give you the option to define an event that happens within your own app as the trigger for your workflow. Let's say you're a logistics platform and want to update an order status in BigCommerce. Given that this is the first custom event we're building, you'll need to create a new one from scratch. Click Create New Event and give it a name and description that you and your team will remember. Use the JSON editor to define the event schema. And click Create. Your event sample data should reflect the work done from the previous step. Take a second to familiarize yourself with it, then click Done. Next, select BigCommerce as your destination block, and choose the action you want this block to take within the platform. Remember, we want to update an order status, so let's select that as our action. Again, we'll authenticate for the purposes of showing sample data, but in the real world, your users will provide their own credentials unless you select Hide Block from Users. Next, you need to choose the input parameters that will be passed on to BigCommerce. This process is called data mapping. Because you selected Update Order Status in the previous step, you'll be prompted to provide a sample order and fulfillment status. Clicking into either field will open Alloy's Variable Selector, which allows you to map the outputs from your event block to their corresponding inputs. Toggle over to Blocks and select the custom event you created. Select Order ID for the order input and Order Status Completed for the fulfillment status input. Review your output data and name your workflow. Clicking Release this version will immediately make this the active version, which means it's the version that new users who click on this integration in your marketplace will be prompted to install. Note that existing users will continue to use the previous version until they upgrade. Congrats! You've just built your first full integration on Alloy Embedded.